It is the penultimate round for Season 2 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series season, and it's coming to you live from one of the more notable tracks in the northern part of the United States. It is the Milwaukee Mile here in West Ailes, I believe that's pronounced, Wisconsin, here for round number 15 tonight from the Milwaukee Mile. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. And alongside me, my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso. Tony, 2 weeks ago, we saw an absolutely fantastic Indianapolis 500. We both did two Indianapolis 500s last week, so it was very nice to get a nice long week to kind of recover. Now we're back in business here with a championship that could be decided tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are at the oldest contiguously running oval track in North America. This track opened in 1903. That was the first time the race was held here at the Milwaukee Mile. So this track's actually older than the Brickyard. A lot of history here. A lot of drivers have made their name here at the Milwaukee Mile. Up here in Cheese Country, you gotta love just the history of this place.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're going to be seeing it on full display here tonight. Again, just two more rounds to go this season. We only have here and Atlanta next week, and then season 2 is done and over with as we see Jackson Bell put at P5 after his first qualifying lap. This is not an easy place to race. A lot like Gateway, we were expecting carnage at Gateway. We got only two cautions, one at the very beginning and one at the very end. Could we see something similar here at Milwaukee?
It's a possibility, but don't get your hopes up because Milwaukee races way differently than Gateway does. Where Gateway actually has that little bit of banking in 1 and 2, so you can kind of use that to your advantage to kind of get a run on somebody. Milwaukee's flat. This is probably going to be the flattest track we see ever in an IndyCar, and it's not the easiest track to get around, and a lot of times this turns into a one-groove racetrack, and you basically have to Dale Earnhardt to Terry Labonte somebody to get them to do something to get them up out of the groove.
You just saw there Nate Siefker bouncing off the wall coming out of turn 2 at the end of his second lap. That would put him P2, and he will not continue, so Nate will only get one lap. And again, we'll go over it a little bit more in the warm-up session, but Nate Siefker right now out-qualifying Chris Simard. That is big for the championship, and again, we'll show you the points when we get into the warm-up session as Tim Bates jumps up to the 12th position. Nobody else currently on track right now to qualify. So we've got 46 seconds left, and it looks as though there's only going to be 13 takers out here to qualify thus far.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised at that because if you don't qualify, it goes off your I rating. And there's some heavy hitters with I rating that aren't putting down times. So they're going to be mired in the mid-pack at the green flag. So you've got guys like Jeff Hollingsworth, who has the highest I rating in the field, not putting up a time. Bentley Glazer is one of the higher-ups with I rating. I think he's third, quick math, yes, third highest I rating. Those guys are going to be starting mid-pack, and that's not going to bode well for them, especially when, as you mentioned earlier, the point standings. There's a big gap between 1 and 2, but from 2 to 8th, it's real tight.
It absolutely is, and we'll get you those point standings right now. As a matter of fact, we'll throw those on the screen here as Nate Siefker has eclipsed the 400-point mark here. Currently leads Chris Simard by 61 points. Simard needs to gain at least 21 points on Nate Siefker, which essentially means Simard has to get every bonus point that he can today. He's already missed out on the pole bonus point. Now he's got to try to get leading a lap, clean race, most laps led, end the race win, and needs to hope that Nate Siefker finishes outside of the top 15, which with Nate's performances over the last couple of weeks is not that far-fetched. However, Nate will start on the outside of the first row. Chris Simard will start on the inside of the second.
Right, and then you look back from that in the point standings, from Jeffrey Roulette to Chris Simard, it's only 36 points. If Roulette were to pull off the win tonight, which he's already gotten a pole, he hasn't gotten a win on the season, but he's already gotten one pole, so he does have speed in that car. If he can pull off the win tonight, he really puts some pressure on Simard going into
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Thank you. I had a brain fart for a second there. Then you got Bogan, who's 17 points behind him, and then it gets real tight. One more point back to Bentley Glazer. 3 more points back to Butch Davis. And Jeff Hollingsworth's only 1 point back from Butch. So throw a blanket over your top 7.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll take a look at the team standings as well, because that points battle is also very interesting between Voodoo Racing, which is the team comprised of Nate Siefker, Chris Walker, help me, that's Mike Grandy and Dan Brazington. They're only 10 points clear in the team championship of OGR, which is that team of Jeff Hollingsworth, of Bentley Glazer, and I believe you're going to have to help me on this.
Butch Davis.
Butch Davis. No, Butch Davis is FBR. Anyway, only 10.
No, sorry, Charles Woods and Jeff Hollingsworth.
Yes. Only 10 points separating those two teams, 898 to 888. Then you have 102 points back to RDR, and pretty much everywhere else is safe, but that battle at the top, where we want to see the battles, is really, really close.
Oh, absolutely. Every point counts from here moving forward. As you said, we're in the penultimate race. There's tonight and next week, and that's it. Other than that, have a good season, have a good off season, rebuild your program, and best of luck to you in season 3. But we still have a lot of racing left to do. We got 200 laps here at the Milwaukee Mile. Quick look at the weather, Frank. Unseasonably cool right now. 69-degree ambient air temperature, 81-degree track temperature. So not as hot and slimy as we've seen it here at Milwaukee in the past. 4-mile-an-hour wind out of the east with pretty low relative humidity.
Yeah, an 81-degree track temperature too. So the track is going to be a little bit warmer. It's going to be a little bit cooler, which means a little bit grippier, and also simulating the proper day now. Just around 1 o'clock in the afternoon on June 2nd, 2021. So we're getting some proper readings that way. But it is a very, very overcast day here, which means cooler temperatures, a lot more grip, and higher speeds that these guys would be able to hit.
And the other downside to that is, with more grip in the track, you're going to burn the right front tire off a lot more easily than you would have if it was a little bit slimier out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So with 37 seconds to go, we'll take a look really quick at the broadcast we have coming up this week. Coming up tomorrow, for the first time in a couple of months now, the USRA will return. It will be the TNT Truck Series presented by the United Sim Racing Association. They will open up their season at Daytona tomorrow night. And if you watched the USRA Cup Series last year, you know just how doggone good those guys are. Such great racing, and they're going to have a big field for Daytona. Coming up on Friday night will be the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series. They will be in the ARCA cars at Talladega. On Saturday will be the Australian Grand Prix from Phillip Island for the E-Formula 3.5 Series. And on Sunday will be the Medieval Racing League's round number 7 from the Texas Motor Speedway, coming up for round 7 of their season. But for tonight, let's get through round number 15 for Sim Racers Edge, and we will do that by looking at the grid for tonight's race. Chad Simpson, the Indy 500 winner last week, takes the pole, reclaims his dominance. He will beat out Nate Siefker by 0.03 of a second to claim the pole here tonight. Chris Simard and Jeffrey Roulette will make up row number 2. Row 3 goes to Jeffrey Bogan and Jackson Bell. Mike Grandy and Jose Viguera will make up row number 4. Row 5 goes to Ronnie Osmer. First time we've seen Osmer in quite some time, the winner of the road course at Daytona. And Carl Burke making up row number 5. Row 6 will go to Johnny Antonucci and Tim Bates, with row 7 going to Butch Davis, who is the last of the qualifiers, and Jeff Hollingsworth, the first of the non-qualifiers.
Bentley Glazer and Charles Woods are going to roll off in row 8. Row 9 sees Paul Crumry and Chris Walker, two longtime friends, going to be starting right next to each other in row number 9. The Thunder from Down Under, Mr. Kevin O'Brien, is going to be joined with Neil Messer in row 10, with row 11 going to Shane Loveridge and Justin Carey. Adam Plunkett, Mike Rigney, Brett Beasley, and Michael Bourne did not pass technical inspection and will not take the green flag.
So from what we're seeing right now, of the 26 drivers that we were expecting to take the green here, we're only going to get 21. Only going to get 20, pardon me. Justin Carey has actually just backed it down pit road. Neil Messer, Adam Plunkett, Mike Rigney, Brett Beasley, and Michael Bourne have not participated since about midway through the practice session, the hour-long practice session prior to tonight's race. So as we get set to go for green flag action here at Milwaukee, it is the second to last round of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series season. 200 laps here at the Milwaukee Mile. We're green.
Tiefker gets a restart on the high side, gets in front of Chad Simpson. Chris Samard, seeing this, is knowing he's in trouble going into tonight, has to race his tail off to try to maintain pace. But right now, Tiefker and Simpson are starting to walk away.
It was a big start to this race for Nate Tiefker as he got out in front of Chad Simpson before they even got to the start-finish line. Chris Samard, who was the quickest overall in the warm-up session, now starting to break away for Jeffrey Roulette, as Roulette coming under fire from Bogan, Jackson Bell, and Mike Grandy is also there as well in the number 12 for Voodoo Racing.
Grandy trying to make some headway as he started a little bit deeper in the pack than he's used to and really wanted to be, as right now it's just an angry swarm. And we got contact.
Oh, yep, that's Bogan and Roulette. Those two battling for the championship, or battling for championship position. That's third and fourth at the championship is Bogan and Roulette.
It looked like Bogan tried to do the undercut going through one and just misjudged the distance between his car and Roulette's car.
Yep, we're going to see it right here. And you're right, yeah, he looks like he tried to cut under the 66 and just got the timing of it wrong. Now, those guys are not out of it completely. There is one fast repair on offer here this evening.
But they are going to go multiple laps down trying to get those wrecked cars towed back to the pits.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's third and fourth in the championship. And speaking of third and fourth, Jeff Hollingsworth, Bentley Glazer, Butch Davis, those guys, as you mentioned, Tony, they're not that far behind. So this could be a massive drop for Jeffrey Bogan, more so because Roulette, one of only 3 drivers here this season that has eclipsed the 300-point mark.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was one of the things I was looking at during the qualifying. It was surprising to see Hollingsworth and Glazer both not post times, knowing just how close that mix battle is from 7th going up. I wouldn't want to start in the middle of the angry pack of wolves like that.
Yeah, not necessarily where you would expect to be. There were some takers. We'll get you caught up now on everything that's happened here. Justin Carey went out to take the pace lap and then did not complete the pace lap, so he's being scored now multiple laps down, showing he's not even starting this race yet.
He was removed from the server.
Okay, so Justin Carey removed from the server. Neil Messer, Mike Rigney, Brett Beasley, Adam Plunkett, and Michael Bourne, as we had mentioned, had not been in since about the midway point of the practice session, so those guys are essentially null and void as well. Jeffrey Bogan and Jeffrey Roulette.
Are
Those
still
two,
towing.
yeah, are still, wow, they're still towing?
Yes.
It's been 2.5 minutes for each of them at this point as we get set to, I believe we're on 2 to go here before we go back to green. Johnny Antonucci, Shane Loveridge, and Charles Woods making pit stops. Antonucci and Charles Woods getting tires. Shane Loveridge just filling up the tank. I believe it was Kevin O'Brien who just went through pit road.
Right.
With no service done to the car at all.
You are correct, sir. And I just got to give a big welcome to everybody that's following in the streams right now.
Absolutely.
Melinda S., Nick Vassinar. Nick, where are you? I was expecting you to be here, man. But go ahead and post in the comments if you're watching on Twitch, if you're watching on YouTube. Go ahead and let us know who your pick is for tonight's race. And give us your top 3.
Yep, absolutely. As Kevin O'Brien coming back into pit road. And once again, will not service the car, looking to put the car behind, looking to put himself at the back of the field. And you saw going around there, Kevin O'Brien, Jeffrey Bogan and Jeffrey Roulette are back on circuit, 2 laps down at the moment in the 19th and 20th positions. So as we get set to go back to green flag racing, it'll be Nate Siefker, Chad Simpson, Chris Simard, Mike Grandy, and Ronnie Osmer, the top 5. Tony, bring us to green.
Field works its way through the 3-4 complex. Pace car gets ready to make that hard left turn. As soon as that pace car twitches, Siefker can pull the trigger whenever he wants to. Pace car looking low on the track right now. There goes the pace car. And there goes Siefker as we are back underway. Simpson not getting the restart he was hoping for. Siefker getting a little bit of daylight between himself and Simpson as Grandy got a great restart against Ronnie Osmer in 5th.
Got about a half a second worth of daylight between, but now Simpson starting to move his way up as I believe Jeffrey Bogan has had another issue. He has, and that will be it for Bogan. So Jeffrey Bogan is done for the day after that incident.
That was a big one.
Yeah, we're going to see it again here. So caution number 2 coming out immediately. Oh, that was Tim Bates. Bates was slow in the middle of the circuit coming out of turn 2. Guys like Chris Walker had nowhere to go. Here's Bates. Boy, got loose on the inside and was slow. Wow, Bentley Glazer, what a way to evade. My goodness, we'll definitely be taking a couple of looks here. This is from Chris Walker's on board. There's nowhere to go for him, and that was Bogan running over the back of him. See this
the blimp caught a good shot of that.
Yeah, this is Kevin O'Brien coming in. Or Kevin O'Brien just flat out stopping on circuit as we're accustomed to seeing him do.
So that started when Bates caught the rumble strips in the middle of 1 and 2.
Yep.
And the car started to wash out. He lifted off the gas to try to collect the car back up, and not everybody was able to get around him.
Again, look at that evasive maneuver by Bentley Glazer. Great job by him. That'll be our next onboard here. He was with Glazer. Watch the fast reaction that he needed, and then to catch the car, the back end was completely gone. Wow. So Bentley Glazer does his unbelievable wreck avoidance job that we're used to seeing him do. As it looks like Paul Crumry, Kevin O'Brien, Charles Woods all in pit lane this time.
It looked like Johnny Antonucci caught a piece of that one too.
I was going to say it looked as though somebody had caught something.
In the red and white Firestone car, that's
Yeah.
Johnny Antonucci, the 13. He caught a piece of that. Not huge, but it would have been enough to burn his fast repair on him.
Yeah,
So he's now on the back foot, running 12th.
Yeah, that had snapped his front suspension, but then as iRacing does, it gave it back to him. So very good eye on that. I was trying to figure out who it was because I saw somebody hit something. I saw somebody run into the back of Bates. I didn't know quite who it was. Very good on that, Tony.
I was wondering who it was myself because I saw the white car do all sorts of funky, and yeah, unfortunately, the Jersey Jet not gonna make it happen tonight. Having already burned his fast repair.
Jeff Hollingsworth, Bentley Glazer, and Johnny Antonucci all coming into pit road on that last lap as well. So now just the top 9 drivers.
And lights are out on the iRacing Tesla pace car.
Yep. Only the top 9 drivers have not spent time on pit road in some way, shape, or form. Everybody else has come in.
Chris Walker just put it on the trailer.
Yep, as you would imagine. Top 5 remains the same as it was on the last restart. Seifker, Simpson, Simard, Grandy, and Osmer. As we come to the green flag here, about to take the beginning of lap 13. Green flag is back in the air, and this time a lot better restart for Chad Simpson. Chris Simard right there as well. Seifker couldn't get that big jump that he got last time.
Well, I think the guys are starting to catch on to the fact that as soon as that pace car twitches, you can go. Because that green flag is going to be out by the time your foot actually hits the accelerator pedal. As Seifker gets about 2.5 car lengths on Simpson. And right now, it looks like Mike Grandy under heavy pressure right now from Ronnie Osmer.
Yeah, Chris Simard really had a bad run through 3 and 4 there, pushed him back off the rear wing of Chad Simpson, as you're seeing Mike Grandy battling with Ronnie Osmer. And Ronnie Osmer, the winner of the road course at Daytona. First man to defeat Nate Seifker on a road course this season. Or in Sim Racers Edge, period, I should say.
Yes.
From Pearl River, Louisiana.
Currently makes Charlotte, North Carolina his home. Yeah. As saw there was a big old party this past weekend for the Coke 600. And a lot of Sim Racers Edge drivers got together in the greater Charlotte Metroplex, kind of hung out, watched the race together, and generally had a good bonding session from the looks of it on the social medias.
A very solid race that they were treated to at that, as we see Jeff Hollingsworth trying to catch down Kevin O'Brien. O'Brien's been working his way up through this field, and now he's going to let Hollingsworth go through. O'Brien's had a very solid run, up 7 spots. Right now, he is the biggest mover on this race. And it's not just because he's letting guys go, and it's not because he's gaining positions off of pit stops. He's come into pit 3 times, serviced the car only once. But O'Brien has certainly has a very good Dallara under him tonight.
Well, O'Brien's one of those, what's the phrase I'm looking for, cerebral drivers. He knows how long a race is. He knows when it's time to push. He knows when it's time to just, I'm going to let you go. You want it more than I do right now this very second, but I'm going to get you later when you watch your stuff.
Jose Viguera getting passed by Butch Davis in the 43. Butch Davis with 1 win already this year. That's at Iowa. And a very good race between himself and teammate Chad Simpson. And Davis now takes over the 7th position. A little bit further back, Kevin O'Brien getting past, by Paul Crumry, and still sporting that number 3 GM Goodwrench Dallara.
Well, I can't really blame him. I mean, Crumry is a long-time senior fan, and he's able to get that paint scheme done and looking good on the Dallara. Sharp-looking race car. And you want to talk about one of the bad luck kids in this league. Paul Crumry, if it wasn't for bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. And 99% of it has not been his own fault. He just gets caught up in other people's dumpster fires. As right now, Ronnie Osmer under heavy pressure from Jackson Bell for the number 5 slot, side by side through 1 and 2. And Osmer not giving up, working that high lane to perfection.
Now, again, we've spoken about it a lot this season, that these are custom stock setups. So it is a custom setup. It's not the setup that you're going to find on iRacing. However, every driver in the field is running the same custom setup. So that's why we call it a custom stock setup.
Well, they're running, it's the same tire pressures, stagger, wing package, shocks and springs. That's all the same. The only thing that's not different between car to car is the drivers have
the in-car adjustments as far as
correct.
the weight jackers and stuff, yes. These guys, the point I was making was, these guys have put together, the setup makers for this series, all season long have put setups together that have included a lot of great side-by-side racing and has filled these drivers with confidence that they can run either the inside or the outside and make moves and make passes and have the confidence that the car will stick, as we see Osmer trying to make a move on Mike Grandy that doesn't work out. Now he's under fire from Jackson Bell one more time, coming through turns 3 and 4. And again, that outside line just able to stick and hold.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things that the setup committee has done is they made sure that they're going to give you something that's stable, and then you can adjust it however you want to try to loosen it up or tighten it up to fit your driving preference. But it's not uncommon to see somebody, make an adjustment mid-corner just to try to make a pass happen.
And looking at these corners, we'll ride on board now. We'll take a lap on board with Ronnie Osmer here just to show you these corners are not perfect half circles. There's a lot of character to these corners. There's a lot of difference in these corners on both ends of the racetrack. There is it is a unique set of corners here at Milwaukee.
It kind of almost is a reverse D, where the exit of 2 kind of squares off, and then the entrance to 3 is squared off, and then it arcs coming out of 4 and arcs going into 1.
You can see there that late apex that you have to take going into through 1 and 2. It's essentially you're not riding the inside the way you would. We'll take a look one more time on Osmer as we saw him get past Mike Grandy. Watch how the middle of 1 and 2 here kind of juts back out and kind of catches the car from the middle of the racetrack. It is not a perfect half circle the way we would see, say, at Atlanta next week.
Right, and it's a real late apex 3 and 4. You're almost giving up 3 to apex 4 to get a shot down the front straightaway, and then you apex 1 and kind of let it drift coming off of 2. And you can see the pavement, the fresher paved section there. Going through 1, you want to hit that going into 1, but you don't want to hit it until about the middle of the entrance to 4 on the other end of the track. So it definitely takes a lot of laps here to figure out what's a good line, what do I need to do throttle position wise to make sure I don't step on my own junk.
Absolutely, as you're seeing Jackson Bell and Butch Davis battling at it here for the 5th position. Nate Siefker currently holding a 1.1 second lead over Chad Simpson, now lapping Johnny Antonucci. So that's going to cost him a little bit of time as Simpson gets now under that 1 second mark as Antonucci goes a lap down. The top 3 have remained the same. It's the remainder of this field that has changed up, and right now the closest battle on circuit is this battle between Butch Davis and Jackson Bell, as it looks as though Davis is going to go to the inside, try to make that pass, as there was somebody up there smoking quite a bit there through 1 and 2. It might have been Chris Walker.
Yes. Yeah, Walker got it all wrong through 1 and 2. But getting back to that whole battle between Davis and Bell, when Osmer was able to get by Grandy, he brought Bell and Davis with him. So Mike Grandy lost 3 spots.
And we saw right as we had jumped on board with Ronnie Osmer that Grandy had actually hit the wall down the front straightaway. So that could possibly be part of the reason why he's having such a struggle now. Could be setup fading away. It could be tires fading away. It could also be that little side smack of the wall. It wasn't all that big, but we've seen time and time again in this series, it doesn't have to be big for it to be significant.
He's 12 miles an hour off the pace on straightaway speed. So I'm thinking that he definitely screwed something up in the suspension somewhere on that car. He definitely screwed up the aero on the right side of that car because if you look, you can see that the belly pan of these cars actually extends just to the edge of the wheels. And it doesn't take much to screw up the underbody aero of these cars, as we saw happen at Daytona with Jackson Bell. He was on par to walk away with the win after Seifer crashed out, and unfortunately screwed up the underbody aero on that car and handed the win to Ronnie Osmer.
Trying to get a decent shot of the side of these cars is now Jackson Bell and Butch Davis starting to get into a little bit of traffic here. Nick Vassenar, top 3, Seifer, Bell, and Hollingsworth. Right now, you're looking at first, 6th, and 9th as Butch Davis gets around Jackson Bell, and he will hold that position this time. So Butch Davis now into the top 5, second biggest mover of the night, up 8 positions. The biggest mover, you have to go back to 12th. That's Shane Loveridge, who is up into the 12th position, up 9 spots from where he started.
And Loveridge is one of a couple of drivers that has been down pit road 3 times. Loveridge, Woods, the only 2 drivers that have actually been down pit road 3 times and have serviced the car at least once. So, as far as fuel strategy goes, those guys might be able to go a little bit longer than everybody else.
Put Shane Loveridge up to 11th with that pass on Paul Crumry as Nate Seifer right in the midst of traffic here. That is Tim Bates between himself and Chad Simpson. Looking through. Deborah Lynn, clean, fun race. It has certainly been fun and entertaining here through nearly the first quarter distance of the 200 laps we have had here tonight. 2 cautions within the first 10 laps, but other than that, we have been green flag racing here as Jeff Hollingsworth now looking under Jose Viguera coming out of turn 2. That for the 8th position.
Yeah, and Hollingsworth knows that he's got to start making up some points. He's got to run that race clean. He's got to run the car hard, but he's got to run the race smart. And he still has a shot at putting it in the top 3 in the final point standings with 2 races left. He's not that far out. And, there's been a lot of trouble with the guys in front of him in points already tonight. So he could have a good night if he just keeps his head about him and runs this race smart.
Now, his teammate Bentley Glazer has had an issue at some point during this race. Glazer right now currently running 4 laps down in the 18th position. He had come into pit on lap 20 and was there for 30 seconds. And in a racetrack where it takes only 22 seconds to get around here at the best of conditions, 23 in the worst, that's a lap right there. Time on pit road, that's another lap or 2 possibly. So Bentley Glazer finds himself behind the 8 ball after making a great save to get out of the way of that first big wreck, as that's Kevin O'Brien who's going slow down the back straightaway, missing the front suspension.
bang the wall coming off of 2, and yeah, he's going to try to limp that car around. Luckily, he still has that fast repair in his pocket, and so far, everybody doing a great job to avoid him, as he might have some problems here and misses
All
the pit
good.
wall. Okay.
Did all good there, did Kevin O'Brien. You see that right front wheel slapping against the supports. Clicks on that fast repair, and he'll be down and away here momentarily. As we'll take a look, as that has opened up a battle for the third position, as Ronnie Osmer now within striking distance of Chris Simard.
Now, those guys are teammates. Samard, unfortunately, not able to count points for VSM, but they are teammates, and they're probably working with each other. And Osmer knows that Samard needs every point he can possibly get, as that's their other teammate in front of them that they are working around right now.
That's Charles Woods for VSM, and again, if you had missed earlier on this season,
I'm
Chris
sorry. I
Simard,
thought that was. No, I'm sorry. I thought that was Burke.
Chris Simard starting this race with V Speed. The team that he was with at the start of the season, V Speed, then went to Patriot Speed, and then after yet another team move, finding himself on VSM. That's 3 teams in 5 weeks. That had eliminated him from team championship contention. So the points that he currently holds right now, which is 340 points, are not going to any team. And with VSM where they are, sitting 5th and second to last in the team standings, that right there is really the difference between them battling for a team championship and them sitting about 80 points behind FBR.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hate to see it for those guys, especially with how hard Carl Burke and Chris Simard have driven all season. They basically have carried that team, and unfortunately, like you said, Simard unfortunately can't gain points for the team. So the entire team points standings, for the most part of the season, has fallen on the 53 of Carl Burke, which he's done yeoman's work, being as he's the only one that's been able to really rack up points week in and week out, with Tyler Vickery and Ronnie Osmer both being part-time drivers this season.
There's Carl Burke with a big lunge to the inside of Jose Viguera, that for the 8th position, and he will take that 8th position. We just saw Mike Grandy down in pit road. Jackson Bell hits pit lane as well now, as we'll go back to that battle as Carl Burke has gotten around Viguera. That is Jeffrey Roulette, who currently sits in the 14th position, 2 laps down at the moment. Not battling for position. He is battling for position, however, with Mike Grandy, who just came in and out of pit road. So Grandy will take that position away, put Roulette down to 15th. Grandy up into 14th, actually making 13th now with this man, Paul Crumry, coming into pit road.
So with the 3 cautions that we've got earlier, it looks like we're looking right around the 50-ish lap mark, when we're going to see drivers calling no moss on their tires as Simard hits pit road to get for Mr. Feelgoods and a fresh tank of Go Fast.
And again, we're going to be seeing a split in pit strategies here. Jeff Hollingsworth, who currently occupies the 5th position, came into pit on lap 9. He is the first of the drivers inside the top 7 that have come into pit previously, so he can go about 10 laps further than anybody else can. Shane Loveridge into pit road in the number 72, as Charles Woods currently in the 8th position, 1 lap down. We'll have Chris Simard bearing down on him, but again, Woods came into pit on lap 10.
So he's going to have to come in here within the next, I would say, handful of laps. But right now, Siefker, Simpson, Osmer, and Davis, your top 4, currently working 59 laps on their fuel tanks. Now, mind you, that was with 3 cautions. So they probably used the fuel adjustments to save as much fuel as they could under those caution laps. But 60 laps in, that's quite a yeoman's work right there. Is heavy. What happened to Samard?
I was just going to say, Samard back into pit road. Car looks fine. It might be a speeding penalty for Samard.
He lost it coming off a 4.
All right, so we'll take a look and see what happened to Chris Samard here in just a moment, and he is still in the pit lane.
Speeding.
Yep. So there it is. So
he was backwards and sliding, but he still got popped for speeding after losing it coming off a 4. As Osmer and Davis both bring it pit side.
Oh yeah! Wow, he got very lucky not to have completely obliterated that pit wall, and that's one thing we have not talked about at all so far in this race is how unique pit entry is at this racetrack. It's essentially just a break in a solid wall. Very, very tight. You have to be very, very precise going into pit road here.
This is one of the most difficult pit roads. As Siefker brings it pit side, one of the most difficult pit roads in all of the iRacing server, road course or oval. Like you said, it's just a break in a wall that you've got to take a hard left turn and hope you don't hit those water barriers.
And the cone to start the pit timer or the speed limiter is right inside of those water barrels, so you really can't take it as hard as you possibly can going in. As we're taking a look now at the current race leader, that is Jeff Hollingsworth. But again, Hollingsworth coming into pit on lap 9, so we would expect him in right around lap 70, between 70 and 73. My guesstimation would be as to when he would be coming into pit road for the second time.
Well, we saw Siefker go 63 laps, and Hollingsworth currently has 55 on his stint. So yeah, sometime within the next 10 laps, expect to see Jeff Hollingsworth bring it down pit road. As Siefker, Simpson,
now.
Bell, Davis, there we go.
So Jeff Hollingsworth will relinquish the race lead here to Nate Siefker. Chad Simpson, Jackson Bell will be the top three, pardon me. Butch Davis, Ronnie Osmer right there as well. But something we completely glossed over as it relates to Chris Samard, he needed to win this race tonight, gain maximum bonus points, which that's pretty much gone and done with now, and have Nate Siefker finish outside of the top 15 in order to take the championship to Atlanta next week. And with that mistake, it's put him 4 laps down. And unfortunately, it looks as though Chris Samard will have to live to fight another season.
Yeah, I mean, when you figure that Siefker just went 22.6 and Samard had to sit in his pit stall for 48.8 seconds, that's essentially 2 laps that, Samard had to just sit there because of that oops coming off a 4. Yeah, he didn't hit the tire barrier or the water barrels at the end of the pit wall. You almost think he might have been better off actually hitting them, because that probably would have brought the caution out.
And that very well could have been the case, and it was right at the end of the pit cycle here. And because of the nature of this racetrack, as we sit here working laps 70 of 200, one, this race has gone by mightily quick, and number 2, we've only got, what is that? What are we looking at here? About 9-10 cars currently on the lead. Make it 7 cars currently sitting on the lead lap right now. Carl Burke in the 53, the first car not on the lead lap.
Yeah, that's impressive with the pace that the top handful of drivers have been doing around here. I mean, you look at the best lap times between who's got the hot hand right now and who doesn't. You're less than a tenth, or I'm sorry, you're only 8 tenths from whoever has the fastest lap to whoever doesn't have the fastest lap. The slowest lap that I've seen as far as a best lap, air quotes, um, goes to Shane Loveridge in ninth with a 22.8. Compare that to the hot lap right now of 22.111 for Nate Siefker. That's impressive. How tight the field is. It's just the little mistakes that are letting these guys get these huge gaps. You see Siefker right now 6.5 seconds over Chad Simpson.
Speaking of little mistakes, one cannot afford a little mistake right here as we ride off the back of Jackson Bell's number 25 as this battle for third place heating right up as Butch Davis will look to the inside going into turn one as he's done for the last couple of laps. He's going to hit that late apex at the wrong angle. It's going to force him to fall back in line behind the 25.
And this just in, Bentley Glazer has put it on the hauler.
So that will, a lot of guys, as we had mentioned, in that top 5 range in points that were so close to each other, having horrible days. Jeff Hollingsworth really the only one having a solid day out of that group from about third place down to 7th or 8th, as now Butch Davis will move up into the third position trying to get past Jackson Bell. He finally will. Ronnie Osmer looking to follow through in the 55.
Osmer just throws it in going into one, just full send it mode from the youngster as slide job coming off of 2 makes it stick. Jackson Bell has to let him go or else risk wadding the car, as right now Hollingsworth and Grandy going toe-to-toe.
Absolutely, and that is a battle for the 6th position, and that is also not that far away from the current race leader. There you see Nate Siefker coming through 3 and 4 as Kevin O'Brien allows him through, as Grandy and Hollingsworth are on the verge of being lapped here as we work lap number 78 of 200 here from the Milwaukee Mile. You're watching the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series right here on ESPN, round number 15 from the Milwaukee Mile. We will be back in just a second. You are watching the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series right here on ESPN, and tonight's race is brought to you by the series by diecastnuts.com. Post your own diecast collections, add or trade to it in the shop, and see other members' collections at diecastnuts.com, and on Facebook at Diecast Nuts, and by Rocket Racing Setups. Rocket Racing Setups is one of the leading setup builders in the iRacing community. Find dirt and asphalt setups, tuning guides, fuel sheets, and much, much more at rocketracingsetups.com today. Tonight's race is also brought to you by the series sponsors Turn Racing and Raise Energy. And the series thanks you for your continued support. Working lap 88 of 200 here at the Milwaukee Mile for the second to last race of Season 2 for the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series. As we continue here, Nate Siefker currently leads, with Chad Simpson falling 13 seconds behind the race leader, Butch Davis, right there as well, now knocking on the door of that second position. And the battle you saw throughout the break between Butch Davis, Jackson Bell, and Ronnie Osberg continues to rage on. Now add Chad Simpson to that mix, so it's a four-car duel for second place now, and Simpson has to have gotten into the wall somewhere because that number 42 is limping.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see a little bit of damage on that right side as Davis just blasts by his teammate. Osmer gets the door shut in his face. They work on their way out of turn number 2. It's going to be academic, though, as you can see a little bit of damage on the side pod there of Simpson's number 42. Osmer's got a little bit more speed in that car, and he's going to have to do something with it quickly, or else Jackson Bell's going to be breathing right down his neck.
Visor cam from Chad Simpson's number 42, seeing what he has to deal with, and you can see just how much visibility he has in those mirrors as you see Ronnie Osberg dart off to the inside in that number 55, and Osmer will nip the position at the line and will completely take it going into turn 1, just the same way he passed Jackson Bell, just a full send going into T1.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know that's what you expect to see out of that young gunner out of Louisiana. Ronnie Osmer has very little fear because he hasn't had to experience. Well, Doc, the last thing I remember was dirt sky, pretty EMT. He hasn't experienced that yet, so he's got a little more chutzpah behind the wheel than some of the more experienced drivers might.
Absolutely. You see Jackson Bell is going to be the next one to pass Chad Simpson, as this race has gone from good to better, from good to great for the race leader, Nate Siefker, who has passed his teammate Mike Grandy, put him a lap down, but has not quite been able to get to the back end of the 97 of Jeff Hollingsworth. And again, Siefker, by finishing inside the top 15, could clinch the championship tonight. And, well, I'm no mathematician, but I think first is inside the top 15.
Last I checked, yeah. But speaking of top 15, Chris Simard, his rival in the point standings, currently sits in 15th, 3 laps down. Not the night he was hoping for, and you got to feel the disappointment for Chris Simard. Has driven hard all season, has been caught up in other people's dumpster fires, started to put a last few race charge on the last handful of races, has had the finishes that he's needed to an extent to try to extend the
car in the wall.
The inevitable.
Sorry to cut you off there, but a car in the wall. That's Kevin O'Brien in turns 3 and 4. And that right there will be the first caution that we have had since the caution on lap 8.
He had help.
I will take a look and see here. He was battling, I believe, with Johnny Antonucci.
No.
As Brian, we'll see him here going. That's Carl Burke, pardon me, in the 53. And Burke just had a big heaping help of momentum going into turn 3.
And thank you, Netcode.
Yeah, exactly. We saw that. Take a look at it from above here. Just the run that Burke gets, and you can even tell from this far away that they did not actually collide. And that was right in front of Jeff Hollingsworth and Chris Simard, and not that far in front of Nate Siefker either. And speaking of which, they're all down pit road.
As you would expect, everybody on the lead lap coming in. Lap down car is going to be coming next time by. But Siefker, Davis, Simpson, Osmer, Bell, and Hollingsworth, as Mike Grandy gets the free pass to get back on the lead lap. So
we'll see how many guys elect to take wave arounds here. I don't expect too many, as Carl Burke would be the first car that is wave around eligible. And he last came into pit on lap 58, so that was 40 laps ago. I cannot imagine that anyone would be taking a wave around here after nearly an entire stint on the tires. As, yep, everyone's coming in. Looks like Tim Bates will get one of his laps back. He came into pit on lap 67. So everybody else right now coming into pit road as we hit the halfway point. Nate Siefker has led every single lap in this race thus far that has not been a part of a pit cycle.
And the only other person that has, there have been a couple other people that have led laps, but by far Siefker has just had the dominant vehicle tonight.
I think, if I remember correctly, I think only Jeff Hollingsworth is the other driver that has led, and that was only about 4 or 5 laps while Nate was in his pit cycle. And Hollingsworth had not yet come into pit, so I think only 2 drivers have led tonight, and Siefker has led all but about 4.
Correct. And it looks like we've got 2 takers to try to get laps back. One of them, Chris Simard, the other one, Timmy Bates.
And for Simard, he's kind of forced into this situation to where he knows what he has to do to get his championship hopes back alive. By doing this, he's 2 laps down. He last came into pit on lap 58, so he is begging and praying for a quick caution at this stage in order to try to either, one, come in or try to sneak another lap back, hoping that the old saying remains true that cautions breed cautions.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for Simard. He's 40 laps on his current tires, and at this track, you've burned all of the good rubber off by the time you hit lap 15, maybe 20, depending on how conservative you are. As the lights are out on the Ford Tesla, or the iRacing Tesla pace car, field working its way out of turn number 4. As soon as the pace car twitches, Siefker can pull the trigger. But he's got a very hungry Butch Davis behind him, who's got a very hungry Ronnie Osmer behind him. We're back underway. Green flag is out. Siefker gets the restart he needed going into 1.
About a half a second gap again between Butch Davis and Davis around on cold tires. Hits the wall on the inside, then gets thrown out to the outside. Caution immediately out. A secondary incident between Jose Viguera and Shane Loveridge behind brings out caution number 4.
And that's the only thing you can blame that on is cold tires. As he catches the end of that tire wall, shoots him up the track, and yeah, Viguera and Loveridge just got into each other trying to avoid the smoke.
And that's a hard hit there for Butch, and you can see Loveridge and Viguera coming in. We'll take a look and see what happened to those 2 right now. Loveridge was way off the pace, and it looked like Viguera had spun off as well. Did the same thing that Davis did. Loveridge was way out of it. Take a look and see here. Yep, Viguera does the same exact thing, just turns in and the back end completely goes around. Now, could that be cold tires, or is that just forgetting to set your car up for fresh tires?
Part from column A, part from column B, and part from when you take a look at where these guys are restarting, they restart about 3 lanes up from where they race. This track is notorious for collecting marbles, which are the little rubber pieces that wear themselves off of the tires. And I'm surprised Chris Samard didn't use this to get into pit.
Well, he couldn't have pit. He couldn't have pit yet. I think he could pit this time. As we'll see what Samard can
pit's
do.
just opened. Yeah, you're right. But there's a lot of marbles that have collected in. If you look at going through the corner, you'll see there's the fresh pave, and then there's a couple grooves up from that. If you get 2 tires into just to the inside of where the darker marks are, almost where that seam is, about half a car width inside of that is where the marbles have collected, and there's a lot of debris up there. It's very easy to get it onto these tires, especially with how the iRacing algorithm works with restarts. You can't pass somebody to their right, you can't pass somebody to their left coming to a green, so everybody tries to cheat up there, and you get a lot of dirt and debris on the tires, and I'm thinking that might have played a big part of why we just saw Butch Davis loop it going into 1.
Absolutely could have, and that worked perfectly, as we had said, for Chris Samard, who took the gamble, did not come in. It's elected to get a lap back via wave around instead, and that has worked out beautifully for him as he gets a lap back and gets fresh tires, and now he's going to gain another position as Bates comes in again. So Samard now currently sitting 2 laps down in the 12th position. First driver eligible for the wave around, for the free pass, would be Jose Viguera, as Butch Davis got it on this caution. So still a little ways to go, as Viguera, the only car 1 lap down. So unless he is the cause of this most recent of the next caution, if there is one, he will get the wave around.
No, Carl Burke got the free pass. Butch Davis was the cause of the caution.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, Carl Burke. I don't know why, but I get those two confused. I don't
Probably
know
because they're
why.
both nice guys.
Yes, that's the one right there. We'll say
but
that's
you see
it.
Where these guys are lining up right now, they're in the marbles. Where they are lining up, that's where the marbles are. As you see them try to, get the tires clean going down the back straightaway, but they're going to get them dirty again going through 3 and 4, because where Seifert just put that car, there's marbles up there.
Yep, and
so you kind of got to tiptoe for your first corner or two.
You could see the black dots there as we rode on board with Seifert as he was coming to the line, as Osmer has a big moment in the middle of 1 and 2. Now is going to just throw it around the outside of Chad Simpson to try to retain that second position, and he will successfully, as Seifert now holds on to a 1.2 second lead, his biggest lead after 1 lap, and for him it's pretty much gone, see you bye, as working lap 108, he's already clinched most laps led tonight.
And here comes Jax Bell to the inside of Chad Simpson, working the way out of turn number 4, side by side across the stripe. Here they come, and give the advantage to Simpson so far, trying to hang tight in that second lane. Now, he's not into the marbles yet, and apparently Jackson Bell realized all he was doing is just burning his own tires off and let Simpson go for a second.
Yep, and Jackson Bell trying to work that inside lane to catch up to Chad Simpson. This is the first time Simpson has had an even competitive car and has been forced to sit behind somebody and sit in traffic that was not Nate Seifert. He and Seifert have been able to break away from this field. Not the case here. Seifert is certainly breaking away from this field. He's already 2 seconds to the good on Ronnie Osmer, but Simpson cannot get to the back end of Osmer.
Well, I was wondering what was going to happen when these guys started to get into the dirty air. and we know that it's something that it's a nature of the beast. When you've got a car that's going to handle well and you've got the right downforce package for a car, when you get it into dirty air, you really have to be on top of your in-car adjustments to make sure that you can keep that car under you. And it looks like Simpson's starting to struggle a little bit here as Osmer's starting to put some distance on him.
You saw the points battle before while
Caution.
we were under caution. Yep, under caution again here. It's Charles Woods that has gone around in turns 1 and 2. See the rear wing tilted on that machine, so he's backed it into the wall after, I would assume, catching the curbing.
No, he just sent it high and got into the marbles.
Oh, no, he got clipped by Vigera and sent him around. You saw the front end of Vigera's car, the front wing of Vigera's car go flying off. Let's take a look at it again from a slightly different angle. When Vigera tried to throw it in and just did not work. And Woods goes right around for what would be caution number 6 on the evening, as Hollingsworth fakes in and out. Grandy and Davis decide to take the turn into pit road. So only 2 drivers of the ones that are on the lead lap are going to be heading down pit road, and Jose Vigera, who had a hand in starting that little incident there, will now reap the benefits of the free pass.
I don't think he's going to. No, they gave it to Jeffrey Roulette.
Well, there you go, as part of the caution. So now Roulette, who's still trying to recover from the lap 2 incident that he had with Jeffrey Bogan, now finds himself on the same lap, 1 lap down, as Vigera. So lucky stars for Roulette, pardon me. Jeffrey and Jeffrey. I know how I get those two mixed up.
Now the question is Vigera going to come in and get that wing fixed?
Well, it
doesn't look like
it showed on the replay that the right front wing broke off, but again, as iRacing tends to do, it snapped that wing back on, so he might not have that damage that we saw on the car when he made the contact, because we're seeing a full front wing on the 48 right now.
Well, we're going to find out when they go back to green, and I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't want to be anywhere near him.
Absolutely, yeah. I would be trying to stay away as well. As we work our 5th caution of the night on lap 115 of 200. We had 2 cautions inside the first 10 laps. Then went green all the way up until lap 97. And from there, we've had 3 cautions to the point we're at now. Vigera has decided to come into pit road in the 48.
Well, it kind of behooves him because they just gave him an EOL anyways for causing that wreck. And again, thank you, Dan Brazington, for being up in race control tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the benefit of having race control, is that if this were an iRacing race control, if they left it up to the system, then it would have given Vigera the free pass. But a human can judge intent, and we're not saying that Vigera intentionally spun Woods to get his lap back, but it can be interpreted that way, and apparently from Brazington's point of view it has been. As we get set to go back to green flag racing, Tony, take it away.
As we see Osmer trying to line up a good start as the pace car gets ready to make that hard left turn. There it goes. Here we go. Back underway as Siefker and Osmer get a decent restart, about 3 car lengths to the good over Chad Simpson, who has his rear view mirrors filled with Jackson Bell.
A very good start there for Ronnie Osmer, as Jose Vigera has actually sat in his pit box for a full minute. So that now puts him 3 laps down at the moment to the race leaders and about to go 4. As we look a little bit further back at the field, Butch Davis and Carl Burke. Again, Davis came into pit road. There is Chris Simard, not that far behind either. Simard still has 2 laps he needs to make up.
Yeah, absolutely. Still a lot of racing left to do as we've got 118 laps in the books. As field's starting to get a little strong out right now, is Simard and Roulette going toe-to-toe.
Simard and Roulette are the next. Yeah, Simard and Roulette are back-to-back in positions. Roulette is 9th. There is Roulette. He is the only car 1 lap down, so the next caution that comes out, he is the free pass car, unless we saw what happened with Vigera again. As there is Simard, who currently sits 2 laps down. He is clear and away the first car 2 laps down, as Grandy trying to hold station against Butch Davis, that for the 6th position.
Davis putting that STP Delara in the rearview mirrors of Mike Grandy, throws it to the inside going into turn number 1. Grandy says, yeah, you know what? You want it more than I do, and you've got fresher tires.
Nick, I must say, your top 5 is not that far off, as Siefker is number 1, Bell sitting 4th, Hollingsworth sitting 5th. So 2 more passes for each of them, and Nick has a perfect top 3.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing to remember, too, is your top 5 were in pit 23 laps ago. Yep. Davis and Grandy only have 8 laps on their fuel tank. So they can go a lot longer than the rest of the field right now. So if this stays green, we could see a lot of pit strategy starting to play out.
And that's Hollingsworth getting around Jackson Bell there. And again, we're gonna show you the pit strategy here of when these guys last came into pit in the top 5. Now, keep in mind, there have been a lot of caution laps between lap 98 and where we stand right now. So the tire situation is not necessarily the advantage. It's the advantage on the fuel tank that the 43 and the 12 have on the remaining guys in the top 5.
Absolutely. We've only had a handful of laps under Anger. So, these guys really haven't worked these Firestone Firehawks to death yet. But as far as fuel strategy goes, give the nod right now to Davis and Grandy.
Jeff Hollingsworth currently trying to keep Jackson Bell behind him, that Coast Guard number 97. Looking like he's going to have a huge points day with Roulette, Simard, Glazer, and Bogan all having horrendous afternoons. Butch Davis is his closest championship rival that is actually in touching distance with him. There is Butch Davis currently running in the 6th position. So Jeff Hollingsworth and Butch Davis, for that matter, can really benefit from today's race.
Very much so, as we missed the pass from Chad Simpson get into 2nd place, relegating Ronnie Osmer back to 3rd. Osmer may have gone too hard too quick, as he is starting to fade pretty quickly here.
Take a look. This was 2 laps ago going into turn 3, and Osmer made it fairly easy on Simpson going down into turn 3, and I think you're right. That is just a sign of Dunn pushed it a little too hard too soon. As Simpson now goes back up into the 2nd position, where we've seen him for a vast majority of the day. Jackson Bell and Jeff Hollingsworth still battling it out as this 3-way battle here for the 4th position continues to rage on.
Another coat of paint, Mike Grandy would have been in trouble coming off of turn 2, as it looked like he may have gotten into the safer barrier. Grandy. Grandy. There's a mark there. So he did get into the safer barriers. He's starting to fade right now. Not the night he was hoping for. And meanwhile, Jeff Hollingsworth and Jax Bell in lockstep. Butch Davis right there within striking distance, as this field's starting to get a little bit strung out, which is to be expected with this many laps on the fuel stint. 31 for your leader, Nate Siefker. Chad Simpson 2 and almost 3 seconds back, as Siefker putting on a dominating performance here tonight at Milwaukee, wanting to be crowned going into Atlanta.
I promise we'll figure out this commentary thing without stepping on each other. As Grandy sitting in the 7th position. That wouldn't be the first time that he's come into contact with the outside wall here tonight and cost him some time. Remember, he was running up in the 3rd position at the beginning of this race, hit the wall, and found his way going backwards. We're currently working lap 132 of 200 here at the Milwaukee Mile. Nate Siefker trying to be crowned champion here tonight at Milwaukee to leave Atlanta, the formality to end the season next week. We have just under 70 laps to go here at Milwaukee. Siefker, Simpson, and Osmer, your top 3. We will be back right after this.
Caught the safer barrier.
You see that? Welcome back to the Milwaukee Mile, and you saw the stricken number 3 of Paul Crumry stuck in the catch fence. Here for our 6th caution of the day, and this one comes out on lap 139. As Crumry has his day go awry as he just catches the wall going into turn 1, and that's an interesting way to end your night. Do I dare do the onboard? We're doing the onboard.
Ramic cam going.
He well, he had a really bad exit through 3, and just that's. What was that you were saying? Sky ground, sky ground, sky ground?
Pretty EMT.
Well, Crumry just saw all of that as Chris
That
Simard
puts Jeffrey Roulette back on the lead lap.
Yep, it will. And Chris Simard has a golden opportunity now to get one of his 2 laps back if he wants to roll the dice, because he right now sits 1 lap down in a wave around position after all of the lead lap cars come into pit road.
Yeah, but he's 36 laps on his tires.
He was 40-something laps on his tires last time, and he got the caution he needed. So could lightning possibly strike twice? And yeah, he's staying out. He knows what he needs to do to keep this championship fight alive to Atlanta next week. It looks like it's all going to go for naught, but hey, stranger things have happened, especially
Well,
in auto racing.
especially with Nate Seifker this season.
Yep. We've seen Nate
Um,
have some awful races this year that are completely uncharacteristic. It's going back to Indianapolis 2 weeks ago. I mean, that was just, he was fighting to stay on the lead lap the entire race.
right. But, I mean, he's already clinched the point for leading a lap and the point for most laps led,
yeah.
at leading 132 of them so far.
And he's got right around, what was that, 50, 58 laps to go?
Right. So we haven't seen the money stop yet.
But that and 58 laps to go before he gets the bonus point for a clean race as well. So that's another thing that Nate has that Chris Simard does not, because remember the spin that Simard had, that's losing control of your race car. It's 2x, so that's not, so his race.
2x for losing control of the race car, and 2x for hitting the pit wall too, because he backed it into the pit wall and tore the rear wing off that thing.
Yep, so Simard needed every single bonus point that he could have possibly gotten, and he has gotten none of them.
Seifker, Simpson, Osmer, Bell, Hollingsworth, Davis, Grandy, Burke, Roulette, your lead lap cars. Chris Simard in 10th, first car 1 lap down.
And for Simard, just to finish up the bonus point thing, there's only one more bonus point that he can get, and that's somehow leading a lap. He's got to get back on the lead lap and then find a way back into the race, to find a way into the race lead, which no one other than Jeff Hollingsworth has been able to do here today. As we go back to green flag racing on lap 144, Seifker, Simpson, Osmer, Bell, and Hollingsworth, your top 5, 9 cars now on the lead lap.
And that the laps that Hollingsworth led, those were all pit strategy laps under green flag. Yep. And we're back under caution. Here we go. Simard's back on the lead lap.
Yep, and that's exactly what he needed, and it's going to be Kevin O'Brien, who is the one that has gone awry. I believe Antonucci's been in the pits for a half hour at this point. So Kevin O'Brien will cause yet another caution here. Just trying to stay down, trying to stay out of the way.
And hit the access road coming out of pit lane and just looped it.
That was odd. It just looked as though it picked the back end of his car up and just threw him around.
Well, you see that yellow paint? That's not just paint. There's a rumble strip there. And it's a little bit raised on that access road. So if you straddle that, it's like taking a skateboard and doing a 50-50 rail grind.
Didn't even straddle it. He barely kissed it. I mean, that was an odd one there for Kevin O'Brien to have. As you're right, now Chris Simard twice now has been able to stay out with 30-plus laps on a tank of fuel, get his lap back, and then get an immediate caution so he can come in and pit. Only the only difference this time is that he's back on the lead lap now.
He still has a major uphill battle to grind, because he's got to get by a very strong Mike Grandy, a very strong Jeff Roulette, a very hungry Carl Burke, a very hungry Butch Davis, a very hungry Jeff Hollingsworth, Jackson Bell, Ronnie Osmer, Chad Simpson, and Nate Seifker in that order currently in front of him. So, yes, he's back on the lead lap, but he's got to hope this thing stays green and that he can nail the green flag pit stop.
And not only that, but he needs Nate to crash out like now.
Yes.
And it's highly unlikely, pardon. it's highly unlikely, seeing as though there is a fast repair available here tonight. So Siefker needs to crash out not once but twice immediately, and that car has been on rails all night long.
And the other thing to keep in mind too is when we saw that green flag run, we saw a lot of lap traffic get involved, and they were all very kind when the leaders got to them. Nobody was really, driving with their head up their butt. They all were very mindful of, okay, that's the leader right behind me. I'm just going to let him go, and I'm going to duck in behind him and try to, I'm going to look like a fool.
And to be fair, I mean, why would you put yourself in that position, especially when the guy who's leading the race that's coming up to lap you is the current championship leader that could clinch the championship tonight? Nobody wants to be known as that guy.
Not even that guy wants to be known as that guy.
So we're about ready to go. Back to green
Kevin
flag
O'Brien's
racing
put it on the
here.
hauler.
What was that? I'm sorry?
Kevin O'Brien just put it on the hauler.
Yep, so there's O'Brien's night done. As we're about to go back to green flag racing here, the top 10 drivers on the lead lap, Charles Woods and Tim Bates, are the only two drivers that are not currently more than one lap down. So those two will be battling for the lucky dog as this race continues. About to go back to green flag racing yet again. Top 5 remaining the same. Nate Siefker will lead them down one more time as Chad Simpson and Ronnie Osmer rounding out the podium positions right now. Pace car peels off. Osmer gets the jump of a lifetime, and Simpson is left holding the bags 0.4 of a second behind. As we go back to green, Ronnie Osmer throws it under the 42, trying to gain that position back, just can't quite do it.
And we saw this earlier in the race where Osmer was giving a lot of pressure to Simpson. Simpson, though, kind of has it figured out that he's got to get these tires to last a little bit. Blocks the inside run for Osmer. Here comes Davis to the inside on Hollingsworth. Wow, power move going into one.
There is the pass on Butch Davis as Simpson able to clear Ronnie Osmer. Jackson Bell now putting pressure on Ronnie Osmer. That's a battle for the second position there. All 5 of these drivers in that battle for second as Osmer takes the inside. He's going to certainly throw it down into turn 1. He will clear Chad Simpson going into 1, but can he hold it? Yes, he will somewhat hold it as Simpson able to regain ground on the outside line.
Osmer got a little sketchy as he bumped those rumble strips going through 1 and 2, unsettled the car a little bit. Here comes Jackson Bell trying to follow him through. As Osmer finally gets the pass done, Bell just full send it mode, and Chad Simpson having none of it as he battles back real strong on that high side. Got his teammate coming right now trying to make a move on Bell.
That was a big wiggle that Jackson Bell had coming out of turn 4 that last time around. Butch Davis on the inside of Bell trying to get back up into the top 4 as Butch Davis really close side by side and also had his teammate right in front of him as well, not necessarily helping his quarter exit, forced to back out of it. A great 4-car battle here for the 3rd position.
Absolutely. As you got Simpson, Bell, Davis, and Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth just sitting back there like the old guard that he is, and I don't mean that as an age joke. Just sitting back there watching these guys just beat the hell out of their equipment. He's kind of conserving his tires, just running his own race, and knowing that all he's got to do is maintain where he is right now, and he's going to have an excellent points night.
Jackson Bell threw it in under Chad Simpson, couldn't hold the inside line through 1 and 2. Simpson now comes back on him. Both of them make an equal dive going into turn 1, and we've seen the momentum on the outside all race long. Jackson Bell will hold the position and clear Simpson going into 3.
This is something we don't see a lot here at Milwaukee, is that second lane can pay dividends to throw the block if you know how to run it. And we've seen guys able to defend quite well up there as Bell finally gets by Simpson, and Simpson now has to deal with his teammate filling his rearview mirrors. But Butch Davis has to be careful because he's got a very hungry Jeff Hollingsworth behind him in that National Guard, number 97.
Yeah, absolutely. And Deborah, I really
Sorry,
appreciate...
Coast Guard. Sorry, don't kill me, Jeff.
Deborah, I really... So you threw me off there. Deborah, I really appreciate the kind words there. That means the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for those kind comments. But we still have a little bit over 40 laps to go here. Nate Seifker currently leading by 0.9 of a second over Ronnie Osmer. Jackson Bell sitting in the third position now, starting to gain a little bit of ground on Chad Simpson. Butch Davis, pardon me, running in the top 5. Jeff Hollingsworth there as well. Jeffrey Roulette up to the 7th position. Chris Samard now battling and getting around Carl Burke. That is for the 8th spot.
Samard actually making some headway. He was able to dispatch Mike Grandy quite quickly and has been battling with Carl Burke. Finally gets that one clear. Now tries to reel in this battle that we're watching in front of us. Jeffrey Roulette trying to make some headway as he is almost 2 seconds behind his teammate Jeff Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth right now kind of mired behind Butch Davis. Dirty air not helping Hollingsworth's cause.
No, absolutely not. You could see that awkward line he had to take going into turn 1 as he thought about a move and then decided against it off of the 43 as we come to 40 laps to go. Ronnie Osmer not letting Nate Seifker go. However, Jackson Bell now coming up to the back end of the 55 to try to give Osmer a little bit of a headache.
And we saw this in the last green flag run. Osmer went a little too hard, a little too soon. Osmer is a good hard charger. He just hasn't been able to figure out this new tire package these cars have because he doesn't run them that often. So it's a little bit of a detriment to Osmer not knowing exactly how hard he can go. Go ahead.
There was an update to iRacing now that you mentioned the new tire model. There was an update today to iRacing, but it was just a system update, so it didn't really mess with the cars at that much, if at all, nor did it really mess with the racetracks, if at all. So that is something worth noting. There was an update today, but a very minuscule one as far as what it did to the performance of the cars, because we've seen so many different handling packages and tire packages that iRacing has had updated on this Dallara IR18 all throughout Season 2.
Yeah, absolutely. And they threw a big monkey wrench into the works the first time we tried to run Miami. The update came out earlier that day, and the cars were virtually undrivable, and there was a lot of connection issues because of that update, so they had to move that race. So this league has really fought all season long with having to deal with everything iRacing is thrown at it. So hats off to all the drivers in the Sim Racers Edge for keeping their wits about them and racing as strong as we've seen all season long.
These guys have had to persevere through quite a bit as we see Jeff Hollingsworth trying to latch back onto the rear end of Butch Davis's number 43. And we had that same connection issue at Miami when we went back. However, it wasn't bad enough that they had to completely void the race again as they did the first time. And I would have to assume that because of those two connection problems at Homestead, that I doubt we'll be seeing Homestead on a Sim Racers Edge schedule anytime soon.
Probably not. And I can think of another track that they might want to reconsider running next season, but I'll keep that to myself for now.
As far as we know, I've not seen any Season 3 schedule. We know it's going to be expanded from 16 races. Boy, Osmer getting up close and personal with that outside wall in turn 4. And Osmer really feeling the pressure now from Jackson Bell as he has fallen to 2.6 seconds off the race leader, Nate Seifker. Seifker's car has just been, as I mentioned before, on absolute rails tonight.
And that's, again, it goes back to Osmer being a part-time driver in this series. He doesn't have to deal with the in-car adjustments with a lot of the other series that he runs in the iRacing server. All of the full fendered stuff. you have no in-car adjustments other than brake bias. So he might be a little bit off on his track bar and weight jacker, and that's really what we're seeing right now with Seifker being able to stretch out an over 3-second lead, and Jackson Bell letting Osmer go early in the tire run. And now that we're almost 30 laps in, we're seeing Bell start to come back to him and really start to pressure the youngster.
We haven't talked about it much, but with 30 laps to go, we're 30 laps into this fuel and tire stint. We might see splash and go pit stops before the end of this race. So Nate Seifker, it would behoove him, one, to try to grow as much of a lead as he possibly can, but also grow that lead and use it to save fuel and turn that engine mode down just to make sure he can make it the 60 laps to the end of this thing.
60 laps is a big ask, especially considering these guys are only running 81% fuel fill. So you figure it's a 22 gallon total tank. As Jackson Bell throws it to the inside going into 3, Osmer can't really defend too well on those tires that are just starting to give up the ghost right now as he's battling to keep that car under him.
And Simpson now starting to work his way back into this battle. Chad Simpson not that far behind Ronnie Osmer now, as Osmer really starting to fall off the face of the earth here in that number 55, running laps that are quite a bit slower. Nate Seifker last time around ran a 22.9. Bell and Simpson both running 23.1s. Osmer ran a 23.5 the lap prior to this one, still well off. Half a second off of Seifker and Bell in front, and 0.3 off of Simpson behind. Osmer has run those tires off yet again.
Well, the last lap across, Nate Seifker went 22.7, Jackson Bell 22.8. So Bell has figured something out.
And make it a 23.1 as the time's updated. Osmer has a big slide coming out at turn number 2. Caution comes out, 26 laps to go, and that right there will do a couple of things. One, it'll guarantee that everybody can make it to the end on fuel. It'll give Tim Bates his lap back, and it will also bring the field closer to see how many points Chris Simard can try to claw back to push this championship another week.
Osmer looked like when he's coming through 1 and 2, just caught that rumble strip, and as whooped as those tires are, they just could not collect traction again.
Yeah, no, it's kind of the same thing we just saw happen to Kevin O'Brien. However, Osmer was able to control it a little bit better than O'Brien was able to. We'll see the fast hands at work here of Osmer, and he just catches that extending out.
Seifker and Bell just stayed out.
And immediately, with Seifker, Bell, and Roulette stayed out, Carl Burke did as well.
Well, Burke was a lap down.
No, Burke was clear. No, Burke was clear. Burke
no,
was
no,
on
I'm
the
sorry,
lead lap.
I'm thinking Bates.
Bates.
You're right.
Here
right.
comes Bates around to take his wave around. So the top 4 decide to stay out. Chad Simpson will be the first car on fresh tires. Jeff Hollingsworth second. It's got interesting.
And Davis, Simard, and Osmer.
I think Simpson might actually have to go to the back of the line here. Unless he didn't. Yeah, Simpson, I think, caught a speeding on exit penalty or a penalty of some description because he is allowing everyone around him.
I shall go look.
I mean, and for speeding on exit, these cars do have the pit limiter. Maybe he just disengaged the limiter a little bit too quick.
That's a possibility. I mean, I've seen that happen far too often in the iRacing servers.
We'll take a look and see here as Simpson leaves. We'll pick it up as Simpson leaves his pit box. It's on the limiter. No, he was...
Cone violation, maybe.
That might be it.
Let's find out. There's the cone.
Well, no, we just...
I don't know why Simpson just let everyone by him.
Yeah, we just watched his exit. He was clear on exit. So we'll have to figure out what happened there. And I will say, it took 180 laps, but Jeffrey Roulette has finally recovered from that incident with Jeffrey Bogan. He is now in the top 3. There is perseverance right there.
Absolutely. I mean, using that fast repair early on, staying out of trouble, keeping his nose clean, avoiding the carnage that we've seen. And he was strong all through the hot lap session and all through the practices all week long, which hats off again to all the drivers that show up to the practice sessions and just put in work to make sure they know what these cars are going to do.
Absolutely. 21 laps to go when we take the green flag. The top 4 cars did not pit under this caution flag. Green flag is back in the air. Jackson Bell with a great restart on Nate Siefker as they both work their way down into turns 1 and 2. Roulette immediately forced to the high side. Carl Burke looking for the 3rd position. They're both not going to have their positions for long because here comes Jeff Hollingsworth with a ton of speed, and Burke had a big moment on the inside coming through 3 and 4. Hollingsworth and Davis looking to split the middle going into turn 1, and they both make it through.
That was a pucker moment for sure, as Hollingsworth, Davis, Roulette, and Burke all almost, they tried to crash, but they didn't. Is Burke going to lose a couple spots as Samard and Grandy get by him as well? Burke, one of the ones that stayed out. This is what 40 laps will do on your tires. As right now, Siefker and Bell trying to put as much distance between themselves and Jeff Hollingsworth as they can, as Hollingsworth has the freshest tires in the top 3.
If Nick Vassadar gets this top 3 right in order when both Bell and Hollingsworth have been nowhere all night long, I want to know which teleportation device he's using.
He's got a job at ESPN anytime he wants it if he does call this right. And in being one of the co-founders of the company, I can say that with all honesty. You've got a job if you want it, sir.
Chris
But
Samard.
Siefker, Bell, Hollingsworth currently showing the way as Samard and Roulette throwing bombs at each other. Finally, Samard gets by and puts some distance between himself and Jeff Roulette. And Roulette has got to be hoping for another caution here soon.
I was just about to say, Samard gets around Roulette as Roulette now trying to battle off Mike Grandy. Chad Simpson just for some reason cannot get that car to work the way it was earlier on in the race, is still mired back in the 8th position. Jeff Hollingsworth starting to close in on the back bumper of the rear wing of the 25 of Jackson Bell. And unfortunately, unless there's another caution, this might be as far as he's able to go as they make contact going into turn 3. Bell in the wall, Hollingsworth in the wall as well. Davis gets through. No caution on the speedway.
And that's going to be the death knell for Jeff Hollingsworth, as he's missing half of his front wing as Chris Samard throws it to the inside coming down the back straightaway. Davis was able to get by cleanly, and Samard looking to pick up another spot as these two have raced with each other for a long time. Samard still working the inside of Hollingsworth. Hollingsworth hanging tight, but he does not have half of his front wing, and that's going to definitely affect the handling of that car.
Hollingsworth took a dive going into turn 3. Bell took the racing line that he had been racing, just did not expect Hollingsworth to be there when they came to. There is Bell in pit road. Damaged front suspension, a lot more damage on that car than expected. There is Nate Siefker with a 2.2 second lead, and Butch Davis, the only one that can really catch him unless a caution comes out. Chris Simard is back up into third with 12 to go.
Talk about perseverance. He was 2 laps down at one point, used a lot of pit strategy.
4 laps down.
It was 4 laps down, you're right, at one point. Used a lot of pit strategy to get those laps back. Finally got back on the lead lap. Got a good caution when he needed it, as we are closing in on 11 to go this time across the stripe. Davis and Simard still have an uphill battle to try to reel in the very strong Nate Seifker. The question is, I don't think Seifker can make it from here.
Perseverance is going to be the word of the night, as Hollingsworth is going to look to drive that car to the end. Only 11 laps to go. He's just gotten passed by Jeffrey Roulette. Mike Grandy is trying to hold off Ronnie Osmer in the 55. Chris Simard has Chad Simpson about a half a second behind him. Butch Davis not gaining much ground at all on Nate Seifker. Seifker still only about a tenth slower, but with 10 laps to go, that is not going to be enough for Davis to run him down.
Now, the thing to remember, too, is Butch Davis does have shoulder problems from a real-world motorcycle accident. So for him to even be as competitive as he is nothing short of miraculous. So hats off to Butch Davis tonight for running the race that he's been running. As Chad Simpson closes in on Chris Simard yet again, we are going to be 8 to go this time across the stripe. Seifker's still showing the way, as Simpson really starting to apply the pressure on Simard right now.
Davis took 3.5 tenths out of Nate Seifker's lead. It is a 1.6 second gap and closing. Simard and Simpson, there's the battle between those two, a half a second between the pair of them. Ronnie Osmer has gotten around Mike Grandy to put himself into the 5th position. So Osmer moving up. Jeffrey Roulette has Tim Bates about 2 seconds behind him. But the battle here is going to be for the race lead and the race win. Butch Davis, having a really bad run through there, has Jackson Bell, the lap car, behind him. No real threat from behind with 6 to go.
As the battle still rages on for third between Simard and Simpson. And the question still remains, with 54 laps on his fuel tank, does Nate Seifker have enough fuel to make it to the finish from here?
I think he will. Came in with 60 to go, and the caution comes out for Shane Loveridge in the 72 backwards off of turn 2. We might get a crack at this. Loveridge caught the curve.
We've seen time and time again. He just caught those rumble strips between 1 and 2. And unfortunately for him, the car just shot up the track. And that's our first, thank God, this is a simulator moment of the night.
That was an unbelievably hard hit. And now this is where...
That's the race.
This is where having a human race control could benefit. We've seen it a couple of times where the caution would come out around this time, and they've been able to let them race. We saw it 2 weeks ago in Indianapolis. We saw it in the season opener at Pocono. That if a caution comes out in this close time, the human race control, in this case Dan Brazington, will let them race. So I would have to assume no one is going to be coming into pit here while Hollingsworth is to repair that front wing. That one was a give-in. But if no one comes into pit this time, we might have one lap to sort out who's going to win this thing. Charles Woods gets his lap back.
And if that's the case, Butch Davis is going to have the restart of his career.
We've seen how good Nate has been on restarts here tonight. They're going to need to get the 1 to go this time. Lights are going to have to go off on the safety car this time if they want to get a 1-lap race in. If not, the race is over.
Well, we're about to find out.
And in this case, the championship would be over as well. Coming up to the start-finish line now. Lights stay on the safety car, so the race is official. Nate Siefker has not only won this race, which for him would be his 7th race win of the season, nearly a 50% winning percentage, but will lock up the 2nd Sim Racers Edge Championship, the same championship he won last season in the first year of this series' existence.
And we saw him struggle a little bit more this season than we did the previous season as far as road course races go.
Absolutely.
It was almost a given coming into a Sim Racers Edge road course race that you were racing for second. But we saw Nate struggle this season, which is something we did see a little bit uncommon. But for the most part, he was able to keep that car clean. Again, you said seven wins on the season, and collecting the most bonus points of any driver in the series with a total of 43 bonus points.
Winner at Pocono, winner at Monza, Gateway, Chicago, Spa-Francorchamps, and Silverstone. Nate Siefker will add the Milwaukee Mile to his win total this season, and this one will certainly be the sweetest of them all. Clinching the championship with Chris Simard running into his problems. That number 1 tonight was on an absolute rail, and he will certainly hold on to that number 1 going into Season 3 of Sim Racers Edge, I would have to assume, in the next month and a half. But as they come out of turn number 4, they will file out 3 wide. Nate Siefker wins here at round number 15 at the Milwaukee Mile, and at least unofficially will win the championship for Season 2 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was just it was a dominating performance out of the number 1 Voodoo Racing team all night long. So bear with me here. I'm just trying to grab interviews, and we're just going to wait on that one for a minute. But Siefker taking the checkered flag, coming home for the dominating performance, led the most laps, started outside row number 1. Didn't get the extra bonus point for pole position, but did, again, lead the most laps, clean race, and it's time to do donuts.
Absolutely. As the champion for Season 2 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series, does donuts down the front straightaway, not just to celebrate the championship, but to celebrate the race win as well. And there's not much better way you could do it than by celebrating with a race win. And that will make Atlanta's championship finale next week a formality to close out Season 2. And Tony, I'll tell you what, I could not be more excited for Season 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially with the action that we've seen all season long in Season 2, just the work every one of the drivers in this league has put in to make the racing as entertaining as it has been. The setup committee, coming up with the setups for these cars, making them as drivable and as raceable as they've been. I mean, I'm already excited for Season 2 right now, or Season 3 right now. I know they're going to take at least a week off, but this has been an excellent season so far.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And Tony, I believe you are with not just the round 15 winner here at the Milwaukee Mile, but with the Season 2 champion, Nate Siefker.
Nate Siefker, or should we start calling you Mr. Two-Time? as you just clinched the second straight Sim Racers Edge Drivers Championship with your dominating performance here at the Milwaukee Mile tonight. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Took about 1 or 2 weeks too many. But the end goal was to get to this point, and we got there. So, um, you know, fantastic work by everyone in the league, I must say, for a successful season. We're not done yet. We got one race to go yet, but it was an incredible season so far. Um, and I got to thank everybody who thanked me for that.
Well, one of the things Frank and I were talking about here, you didn't quite have an easier route as you did last season. Uh, the first season of Sim Racers Edge, it was pretty much if we showed up to a road course, it was you were racing for second place because Nate Seifert was going to come home with the top spot on the podium. You had a little more difficulty this year on the road courses than you did in the past, but 7 wins on the season and 6 poles on the season, you can't really bat too much of an eye at that.
No, you can't. So, I mean, yeah, there was no complaints about the season. It went pretty well. I mean, there's some races that got away from me. Indy, uh, and the road course at Daytona. Those are two that stick out to me.
Charlotte.
Yeah, and that too. But overall the season was pretty decent. We had some excellent additions to the league in the midway point that really brought the competition level up and made me work really hard for all the races, especially on the ovals and the road courses. So, you know, everyone's done a fantastic job here. Um, and the season's not just me, everybody. It's a lot of other people have had great seasons. Chris. Even though he came in second, I think he's locked in second actually tonight too. Um, you know, all have done fantastic work. A lot of people put in really good seasons as well.
Now, one of the things we were talking about is the setup committee and just the amount of work that you guys have put in with all the test sessions that you guys do throughout the weeks leading up to these events. All of the practice sessions, all the testing sessions, make sure that these cars are as raceable as you can get them. Talk us through what the mindset is with the setup committee on how you guys really make pardon my language on this one, folks, and I do apologize if there's women and children listening, but you guys make chicken soup out of chicken shit every week. I've driven the stock iRacing setups in this car.
Anyway, yeah, I think the setups were pretty. I don't touch the setups until they get finalized. But I know they do a lot of work. They got a lot of people here in the league who do a lot of great work. So they've done a fantastic job with the setups. Yeah, they really nail them down really well. So they make them easy to drive and. Testament to those guys who all do that. It's a varying committee that everybody pitches in with it. But they all do a great job. They make the setups raceable for not just me, but for the not so quick guys, and that really shows how good the racing can be with these cars.
Yeah, I mean, you take a look at the qualifying setups tonight, and it was less than a second from first to last of the guys that put in time. As a matter of fact, I think it was even closer than that. Yes, it was 4/10. No, it was 1 second exactly that separated the guys that posted times in qualifying. But, again, congratulations, Nate, on winning the race here tonight at Milwaukee, winning your second championship. Talk us through your thoughts going into the season finale next week at the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Playing with house money. So it's if I do well, great. If I don't do well, it's whatever. So we'll go for a win. We'll make some different strategies. We'll do some unconventional stuff, and we'll try to work some stuff out and maybe help my teammates out and see if I can get them a win this season before we close it out.
All right. Well, Nate, is there anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
I want to thank you guys for broadcasting. I'm sure you guys did a fantastic job with the broadcast. I know Milwaukee's not, the greatest race to broadcast, but I think tonight was actually a pretty decent show, I thought. So I'm pleased with the work that the broadcast you guys do. Thank everybody in the league. They do a fantastic job. Everyone, pays attention. They do the job, and this league wouldn't be hear what it is without them. Thank all the admins, Butch, Dan, and Chris. They do a fantastic job as well. And thank you, my teammates, Mike, Tyler, Chris, Dan, all those guys, and really anybody who watches. You guys are important to us as well. Even though we don't really know who you are, or we don't really recognize you ever. You guys are important to us as well. So thank you to all the viewers out there. We really, here at SRE, do appreciate it.
All right. Well, Nate Seifker, looking forward to seeing what the Seifker report looks like tomorrow morning or possibly later tonight. Congratulations on winning Milwaukee and clinching your second Sim Racers Edge championship.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And Frank, I believe you are now with the biggest mover of the event tonight, second place, Mr. Butch Davis.
Yes, I am. And Butch, you had an absolutely fantastic race all night long. You were stuck mired in traffic. Do you think you would have had an opportunity to catch and pass Nate had the caution come out a lap sooner?
I think if I had an opportunity to get a restart there at the end with maybe a couple laps, I might have been able to put a move on him or try to. But I just don't think I really had anything for him. Struggled all night. Totally screwed up my qualifying, which is why I got the furthest mover award or whatever. But gotta clean up the goofy mistakes. I got myself kind of situated and sorted up in P2 for one of the restarts. Was totally intent on kind of just holding station and went into a turn one, and our idiot driver, that would be me, hit the wrong button and didn't get to the right gear at the right time, and around she went, and yeah, not a good thing to do in the front of the field.
Not necessarily, but you made it work. Didn't get hit. Well, you hit the wall, but you didn't get hit by anyone else, making it even worse. But coming down through this race, you were making your way through the field. How difficult was it to pass here? It's a flat racetrack. These turns are rather awkward in the way they're laid out. And with this setup, it looked like it was very advantage outside, at least if you didn't have a run on corner entry. What was it like to get around this racetrack tonight with a bunch of cars around you?
It was extremely difficult. You really had to plan your pass several laps in advance. Try to set yourself up to get the run either into the corner or out of the corner. That was obviously dictated by what the guy in front of you was doing. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. You could literally spend 10 laps just trying to get that one single run. And if it doesn't work, then it's reset and go back to square one and try it all over again. So, it's just very tight racing. Milwaukee, as I said a couple weeks ago, Milwaukee is not one of my best tracks. It hates me as much as I hate it. So to come out of here with a P2 is pretty cool.
I would absolutely have to say so. And while the championship may be over, your championship is certainly not. There's a lot of ground that can be made up going into Atlanta next week. What are your thoughts and goals going into the season finale in the Jewel of the South next week?
I love Atlanta. It's probably one of my better tracks, historically speaking. Whether or not we can be, top 5, top 10 there, that's to be decided. We have a pretty good group of drivers here that can run the ovals well. But we're going to do what we can. I just want to end the season on a high note for myself, for the team. I know Roulette's up there in the points, battling for a podium position in the points as well. So hopefully one of us two ends up in P3.
Hopefully so. Anybody you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate tonight?
Absolutely. Definitely want to thank my teammates. Neil Messer, Jeffrey Roulette, Larry Emerson, Mikey Bourne, Chad Simpson, of course, the new guy coming back. Definitely want to thank you guys at ESPN, everybody at SRE, and just the drivers in general for putting on a decent show tonight. Some argy bargy there at certain points of the race, but hey, that happens on these short tracks.
All right, there is your second place finisher here tonight, Butch Davis. Butch, congratulations, bud.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great night.
User was moved out
So
of your
that was your
channel.
second place finisher,
was
and with
moved to
that,
your
we will go to
channel.
our third place finisher, Chris Samard.
If you look up the word perseverance in the dictionary, you're going to see a picture of this man right here, Chris Samard, battling back from 4 laps down at one point, getting caught up in an early dumpster fire, kept your head about you, kept your wits about you, raced hard, coming home with a podium finish, and essentially, I believe, clinching the second place of the championship. But I know it wasn't the night you were hoping for, but all things considered, you can't be too disappointed, Chris.
No, not that much disappointed. I am a little bit. I spun it off a 4 like a moron, and it just the cautions came out when I needed them, and I got the wave around a couple of times, and that helped me out. I wish I didn't crash.
Well, it was the speeding on entry when you did loop it coming off a 4 that really cost you. But pit strategy played to perfection tonight as you were able to get your laps back the hard way, by playing that pit strategy and got the cautions when you needed them to get your car serviced. But, talk us through your thoughts as we go from the shortest track on the schedule to one of the bigger tracks on the schedule, the 1.5 miles that is the Atlanta Motor Speedway next week.
Well, typically the 1.5 miles I really do well at. I do like all of the short tracks. It's just certain ones. Like tonight was pretty good, but you get back in traffic and you couldn't go anywhere. At least I couldn't. I couldn't figure out the arrow enough. But Atlanta, I'm usually really good. I'm excited for it. I'm just gonna go for the win. I got nothing else to lose. I got second place wrapped up, so it's checkers or wreckers next week for me. So.
Well, that was basically what Nate Seifker told us. You guys are kind of playing with house money next week, and let the chips fall where they may for everybody that's behind you in points. But all in all, not the season you were hoping for on a whole, but looking forward to season 3, I'm assuming, and hopefully getting a little more help on VSM from the rest of your teammates this coming season.
Yeah, that'd be great next season. All my teammates at VSM, they're great. It's nice to stay in one team for a while. I think that's probably the longest I've stayed in a team in a long time. So it'll be nice. I finished. Was it last year? Last season. I finished third. This season I finished second, so hopefully I'll finish one better this time. It's just the road courses. I need to pay more attention to the road and not to all the faster cars in front of me. That's probably my downfall. I just try to go a little too hard, and it always screws me up. I always go off track. So I just, a good top 5, even top 10 would be nice. It would be a lot closer to Nate if that happened. So. And I know I can beat him on the ovals at any given night. So I just gotta get better at the road courses. That's my Achilles heel. So.
All right. Well, Chris, again, congratulations on the podium here tonight. Congratulations on clinching second place in the points championship going into Season Valley next week. Is there anybody you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys up in the booth. You always do a job with the broadcast. I like going back and watching all of them. My teammates, all the sponsors of the league. I apologize, I can't remember them all. Turn Racing, obviously. There's a bunch of them that help us out, and they do a great job. They help us out immensely with the league, and my wife and son. And all my family members that watch, every Wednesday night. My dad, my brother, and my uncle, they have a good time watching. So.
All right. Well, Chris, again, perseverance personified tonight. Congratulations on the podium. We'll see you next week in Atlanta.
All right, guys. Thank you.
User was moved out of your channel.
All right, so that was the third place finisher tonight, Chris Simard. And Tony, a very, very good race here tonight for the Milwaukee Mile. I know when you saw the schedule come out, there were two races that you said you were. Yeah, there were two races that you said you were going to play ill at, and that was Gateway and Milwaukee. You were genuinely ill for Gateway. You made it here for Milwaukee. This was a very, very solid race here at a very difficult track.
Well, the thing is, it was difficult tonight to be here to begin with because I had a dialysis treatment earlier today, and you can ask anybody that ever has gone through one of those that it feels like you went through 2 Super Bowls and a boxing match with Mike Tyson by the time you're done. That's how just dog tired you are. But I wanted to be here just to see what was going to happen with this battle with the point standings. And these guys did not disappoint tonight at all. Hard racing, clean racing throughout the night. We had a few cautions there at the beginning, a few at the end, but the ones at the end are kind of to be expected, considering that it's the give and take portion of the race is over when we saw the handful of cautions towards the end. But I mean, these guys just put on a clinic of what league racing in the iRacing server should be.
Absolutely. And with one more race to go before the end of season 2, Atlanta Motor Speedway is going to be an absolutely incredible race. And while the championship, as I had mentioned with Butch, while the championship might be over, there are still plenty of battles throughout the standings that are going to make Atlanta very, very interesting and a can't-miss race. It's a fast track. It's a track that absolutely kills tires. A wide track, high banked. Honestly, it's going to be a lot like Texas was. I think it's going to be a little bit better than Texas because Atlanta doesn't have that odd turn 1 the same way that Texas does.
Right, and like you said, it's going to be a tire wear battle. Who can keep the tires under their car the longest? And you take a look. From Jeffrey Roulette currently sitting in third place coming into tonight, down to Jeff Hollingsworth. You're less than one race separating those 5 guys. So, I mean, it's still up in the air as who's going to finish the rest of the podium out, as Siefker and Simard both cemented 1 and 2 in the point standings tonight.
Absolutely. Jeffrey Bogan, the same thing with him. He had a bad race here tonight, coming home in the 20th position. He was in 4th, and not by much on Jeffrey Roulette. He's going to fall right down the pecking order of that about 3rd to 8th, 7th or 8th place battle in the points, which is what we're going to be mainly focusing on at Atlanta next week. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to look through the results for tonight's race, and Nate Siefker not only wins the race, but wins the championship as well. Here for Season 2, Butch Davis and Chris Simard round out the podium. Chad Simpson and Ronnie Osmer just finished in the top 5. Mike Grandy Sr., Jeffrey Roulette, Tim Bates, Carl Burke, and Jeff Hollingsworth will round out the top 10. Charles Woods, Jackson Bell, Jose Viguera, Paul Crumry, and Shane Loveridge will round out the top 15.
Kevin O'Brien coming home in 16th. Johnny Antonucci, Bentley Glazer, Chris Walker, Jeff Bogan rounding out your field as Neil Messer, Adam Plunkett, Mike Rigney, Brett Beasley, Justin Carey, and Michael Bourne all did not start.
So that will do it for us here at the Milwaukee Mile. And again, coming up tomorrow night will be the return of the United Sim Racing Association. This time it'll be the TNT Truck Series. They will open up their season at Daytona tomorrow night at 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time. Tony and I will be in the booth for that. Coming up on Friday night will be the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series from Talladega, the ARCA cars. It'll be the first race of the round of 8 for the playoffs for them. That will kick off at 8:20, expecting that Sam has gotten his computer all together. It'll be Sam and Byron in the booth for that race on Friday night. On Saturday, it'll be the eFormula 3.5 series with Jake Sperry and myself. The Australian Grand Prix from Phillip Island at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Sunday night will be the Medieval Racing League round number 7 from Texas after having Memorial Day weekend off last week. That race will be a 7:50 start time as well, with Sam Cooper Bennett and Byron Rodney in the booth for that. So for my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. We will see you next week for the season finale for Season 2 of the Sim Racers Edge Alpha Series at Atlanta, and we will also see you tomorrow night for the season opener for the TNT Truck Series presented by the United Sim Racing Association from Daytona. Have a great evening, everybody.